we've been talking about all these changes that have been going on in the industry. I'd be curious, where do you think it's all going to go? If you play it out 5 years from now, what's it going to be
Yeah.
like? Are we flying to work in our little Jetsons, jetpacks?
So you think about how time is collapsing, right? How quick this stuff comes along. And we've talked about this before. If Benjamin Franklin or Alan Turing came in today, how awestruck would they be? So how awestruck are we going to be 5 years from now, right? When we look forward and we say, oh my God, look what you can do now. Look, did you know the comedian Nate Bargatze?
Yeah,
He's the
excellent.
Tennessee. He's got that great routine. He talks about if I went back, like say, in the time machine in the 1920s, I don't think I'd make a difference. He goes, they have cell phones back in the future. Well, how do they work? Well, I don't know. They have video. How do you? I don't know how this stuff works, right? I think that's where I'm going to be 5 years from now. I think I'm plugged into technology today, but I think I'm going to start to lose the perspective when I look at it's changing so fast. How do you keep up with it? The pace of change. When I see I know I talked a little about this last time. I got to get into the quantum computing, I think, is going to be the big changers. We talk about scalability a lot, right? What they've done here, I think it was, I'm not sure why, I had to go back and look the organization, but they just did data teleportation, right? Where they were able to move data instantaneously because of the entanglement features of the quantum machines. And that now is allowing them to now scale out because they're struggling with building these chips with all the qubits on them. And the more qubits you add, the more noise and error correction you get. Well, now, because they can do this through entanglement, this teleportation, now they can have multiple chips work together and then run a scale. I think that is going to accelerate. Quantum computing will not replace standard, what we have today in terms of, I think it's going to augment it dramatically. So I think we're going to see quicker medical discoveries come along, problem solving, legal change, all of these things are going to be accelerated at a rate that you and I don't think will be comfortable with, to be honest with you. So,
Interesting. I think you're really optimistic on it.
well,
If I go back to what we were talking about at the beginning, I think that certainly these changes are big. I think they're bleeding edge, right? And it takes a little bit of time for things to bake. So in a 5 year time horizon, I think you're right. I think it's going to basically advance considerably, but I think it's not going to be fully baked yet where the application side of that's going to come through yet. But I do think, this AI stuff, I think we'll get past the hype. We'll have our massive
yeah,
disaster and people will be like, oh, maybe I shouldn't jump into bleeding edge technology just yet. But I do think some of the baked principles of things where it's clear what it can do well versus not. I think the automation pieces are going to come through. I think people are going to say, okay, my AI can't handle this really abstract, vague,
yeah.
really super complex thing. But if I give it some really small things and then I orchestrate it together, I think that's going to hit. I think what's going to happen potentially is that, through no code platforms. And I think I'm seeing a lot of that where like you can now do some of this orchestration without code, which is super exciting for me because now I don't need you.
You don't need me, right? So here's the thing. This is a great topic. You're always going to need a guy like me. I don't care what anybody says
Yeah,
because I've used some of these. I know, but I've used some of these like the GitHub Copilot and help me code 60% accuracy. I wouldn't put my code in production right coming off of those tools, but people are. I think people are. So that
now,
that scares me a little bit.
to be clear, I wouldn't trust an AI to code, but in terms of helping orchestrate very
Oh yeah.
unique
Yes.
functions where
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
the API call to something that reliably does something, I think that's starting to get interesting. And then I think what's going to start to happen is people are going to be able to package those orchestrations as services that organizations can buy.
I think you're already seeing that. There's a whole, I want to dive more into this and do a little more research, but I think we might talk about this before. There's a whole emerging market using the blockchain and the cryptocurrencies and these agentic AI components where they're putting cryptocurrency behind these agents to have them go do stuff where they're generating revenue. So you're investing in it. There's a whole financial industry that's cropping up that I didn't even know existed until I started researching the other day. And I want to dive more into that. So that might be a topic we can talk at future state about do you know what's going on here? Because I'm just starting to touch it, and it is a lot deeper than I thought it was. It is very interesting. Taking what you're talking about and putting it's out there already where people they're monetizing that capability already. And it is really intriguing.
Definitely. Well, I think a great conversation as always. I hope you enjoyed it as well. Certainly let us know in the comments. Tell us if you agree. Certainly tell us if we're wrong. We're interested in your perspective. Please, of course, like, subscribe, share it if you thought it was interesting. And we hope we'll hear from you and see you at the next one.